Welcome to Ghoulish Gab, always spooky, always under 7 minutes. Sometimes it's worth watching.
Sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it's not. Today we're going to talk about social commentary. That's been a big part of horror movies since the existence of horror movies. I mean,
absolutely.
You go back to Night of the Living Dead, and you're going to find social commentary there, all the way up to whatever's come out in the theaters last week. So we're going to talk about some of our favorites that contain specific social commentaries. I'm just going to start with They Live from 1988, which is a pretty popular one when it comes to social commentary and horror. You've got themes of propaganda and over-commercialization running through that whole film, which is, if you haven't seen it, there's a man, his name is John Nada, and he's kind of a drifter, and he's working a construction job, and he kind of stumbles into this conspiracy after he finds these glasses. When he puts them on, he starts to see things for how they really are. Different ad campaigns, and people are not as they appear because there's a whole alien thing going on that's really controlling things. So, and John Carpenter said too that a lot of that things in that movie came from the dissatisfaction with the economic policies of Ronald Reagan, and just kind of trailed from there into that storytelling. And that movie, parts of that could be used as a warning sign.
I think that is that movie is an excellent example, though, of how the social commentary just has whooshed over so many people's heads.
Absolutely.
Like the fact that the obey sign was then used by Banksy in street art, and now is used to sell T-shirts and stickers. And I'm like, you just completely you missed the fucking point, right? Why am I paying for something to say obey? Huh?
It's absolutely true.
The first one I had is from 1968, so throwing back a little ways. Rosemary's Baby. Mm-hmm. So that was from 1968. I would be doing a disservice if I did not mention that it was written and directed by an absolute piece of shit, Roman Polanski. It almost makes it ironic that Rosemary's Baby carries the message that it does, considering it was written and directed by Roman Polanski. But right. It is based on a novel from 1967 by Ira Levins. And throughout this movie, you're basically watching this woman in her in her metropolitan home, and she becomes pregnant. She's reluctant about it. Everybody around her is very controlling. It turns out her child is the child of Satan.
Nice.
And at first you're just like, oh, that's scary. Birth of the child of Satan. But when you watch it, Rosemary's being controlled in every way. So it's a commentary on forced motherhood, society's expectations of women, and their expectations to become mothers or to just be subservient to their husbands or the men in their life. It also pretty heavily critiques the medical field and organized religion. These are things that we are raised to believe should be a comfort and a support system. But this movie villainizes them in a way that I do not think is unjust. And she basically becomes a vessel for other people's hopes and dreams. And then it kind of touches on the isolation you feel when you're forced into domesticity and motherhood, and you kind of have that loss of identity. It's a very good movie. My God, I'm sorry. But it touches on so much stuff we only have 7 minutes. I don't have more time to explain. Watch Rosemary's Baby if you haven't.
It's a classic. Teeth from 2007. We've talked about this in different capacities, but not the social commentary, really. And I mean, it's about you have your sexual assault and female oppression themes in there, and then there's also the religious agendas and grooming the youth as well too that run through that whole thing. The main character, Dawn, she's a teenager who's struggling to find herself and be comfortable with her body, and her brother is a piece of shit, and men suck, and everybody's sucking, and she's kind of working through her religious things as well too. Also, she has teeth in her vagina, So on one hand, it could be just a very trashy film about a lady with teeth in her vagina, but it's really not. The social commentary carries the movie and lifts it to different levels. So in the past, when we've mentioned it, we kind of talked more about the
teeth in the
comedy
vagina.
and the teeth aspects, just whatever we were talking about at the time. But it really is carried by social commentary.
That was actually the second movie I had listed too, and I do think there is something really important to say about the fact that her sexuality basically becomes it started with her shame and her feelings of just kind of inadequacy. She was staying pure till marriage, and all of a woman's, like, I don't know what the word is, value is put on their purity. So when you're raised in a religious household, you're told, like, oh, don't give somebody your gift because you want to save that for your husband. It's a bunch of bullshit. Towards the end, though, she gets to use this part of herself to enact social justice by chomping off the penises of those who abused her, and we're here for it because that's the dream.
Good for her. Yes. I'll briefly leave you with a Romero film. All those zombie movies that he did had different social commentary to them, which is really great. They weren't just zombie movies, but one of the ones that's kind of overlooked in general is Land of the Dead from 2005. And if you're not a fan of it, fine. But there is really good themes here of class warfare and tyranny. In this one, the undead far outnumber the survivors, so they're kind of forced to live in these, closed off little societies, with Ruth, and the way that the classes are kind of run in a much smaller society than the one we have reflects the larger one that we live in different ways. So it's great. We're definitely out of time, so tell us in the comments whatever you want to tell us, and we'll revisit this theme again. Okay, bye.
Bye.